An upcoming OSRS update is going to make every single player richer. What's up guys, SarahTube here, and a few streams ago, Mod Ash was discussing the new death mechanics that they are considering adding into old school RuneScape, and the mechanics he was discussing are actually really good for the RuneScape economy, and it actually will make every single player richer, but we're going to get into that as the video goes on. For those who are unaware, the current death mechanics are incredibly forgiving. If a player dies, they have about an hour to run back to where they died to pick up their loot. The player has to remain on the same world as they died in, and if the server crashes within the time frame, it's kinda tough luck because you'll lose your stuff. Now, on top of that though, if you die multiple times, your stuff will still remain on the ground, so it's not like if you die while running back to your loot that you're going to lose your stuff. Jagex actually implemented this hour-long loot timer due to the large attention brought to DDoS attacks during the Deadman Mode tournaments, I think it was about 2 years back at this point, specifically for streamers who were ending up getting DDoSed and losing all of their stuff. Since this new death mechanic was added, they have not changed it back to the old 2007 death mechanics due to the popularity and kind of the acceptance that people have with this 1 hour loot timer. I mean, let's be honest, who doesn't like having an hour to get back to their stuff? No one wants to lose their stuff in the game. And while this is a great mechanic for all the players, it kind of negates a huge part of the game, which is the risk part. Currently, players have insanely low risk of losing items, and this actually has a huge impact on overall gameplay. People are taking their best gear setups everywhere, and it also encourages solo play, as there's not a lot of risk if you die and your stuff drops on the ground. But anyway, we're going to go into detail about the new death mechanics that Ash was proposing and how it'll affect the economy. Like I've mentioned, Mod Ash was talking about the new death mechanics that he would like to implement in old school RuneScape briefly on a stream about 2 or 3 weeks ago. If you would like to watch the entire VOD of the stream yourself, I'll put a link in the description. By the way, none of these new death mechanics are finalized at all. It was just something Mod Ash was talking about for about 7 minutes on his stream, so a lot of things are subject to change. Anyway, with the new mechanics, upon death, your inventory will be deposited into a chest in the area of RuneScape which you died. Once you respawn, you will have 10 to 15 minutes to get back to the chest before the loot disappears forever. Once you actually get to the chest, you will have to pay a fee, which Ash mentioned will likely scale to the cost of your items that you actually lost, and once you pay the fee, you will actually be able to get your items back. Just to mention briefly, another thing Ash mentioned was that it doesn't matter what world you're on to get this chest back, it actually will go to every world that you log into, and the timer will not count down, like the 10 to 15 minute timer, if you are actually logged off. So if you are attacked online, like a DDoS attack or something like that, then you will actually not run out that timer. But anyway, I do expect a lot of players, once a blog is written about this, to be upset and be enraged that they can no longer have an hour to get their stuff back. So I do want to highlight the positives that this will actually bring to the game in the long term and why these new death mechanics are actually a much better option than what we're using right now. Personally, my favorite part about these new death mechanics is how it's going to make every single player in the game richer, and let me get into explaining this because it likely doesn't make a lot of sense considering if you die, you are still more likely now with the new mechanics to lose your stuff than with the old mechanics, but it's going to make you richer because this is going to be an incredible gold sink for the economy. A lot of people now, if they die and they cannot get back to their stuff in 10 to 15 minutes, they will lose their entire inventory setup besides the 3 items that are kept on death, which is a huge gold sink for the economy. Taking those items out of the game is really great because as of right now, the only way an item will leave the game is if a player is banned with the items on their account or they alch an item, which we all know people aren't really alching Dragon Claws and Grazi Rapiers and things like that. On top of this, even if you die and you get back to your chest in time, you still have to pay a gold fee to get back into the chest to grab your items back. So no matter what, every time there's a death in the game, money is being brought from the economy out of the game and gone forever. What this actually means for you is as long as you are not the one dying, then every single death in the game is actually going to make you slightly richer, and this is due to deflation within the economy. I'm not going to go too far into this. If you're interested in learning more about deflation, feel free to Google that. but what it basically means for you is that your gold will become more valuable because more gold is starting to be taken out of the game. In theory, this actually makes gold harder to come by, and gold will become rarer, quote unquote, even though it's still going to be very readily available. In regular economies, states of deflation are looked at as negative, but in old school RuneScape, I think it's actually going to be a positive. Players in old school RuneScape are not as price sensitive as people in real life markets. For example, if a high-end PVM player needs to buy a scythe, he's not going to really care if he spends 800 mil or 801 mil because he might have a 3 billion GP bank. If his friends are begging him to go PVMing or raiding that night, he's going to spend the 801 mil on the scythe as opposed to waiting for a few days to get the scythe for 800 mil, and in turn missing out on the PVM activities with their friends. States of deflation in real economies typically deter people from spending their money. People want to hold onto their cash as much as possible, but like I said in the previous example, I don't think RuneScape players are price sensitive. In addition, this is going to bring cheaper bonds. Like, literally, the value of RuneScape GP in its current state will increase compared to real-life currencies. So, since there is less gold circulating around in the game, gold is actually rarer, so the price of bonds will likely fall in the long term as a result, as gold becomes more valuable, assuming that bond purchase rates stay about the same. Finally, I just wanted to mention, this doesn't have to do with the economy, but these new death mechanics are actually good for the game because they encourage account progression and game knowledge. You want to learn faster routes to go all over the game, so if you die, you can get your stuff back. You want to do quests to unlock shortcuts, you want to train agility to unlock shortcuts, you want to do achievement diaries to get certain teleports, and it really encourages players to further progress their accounts to unlock the fastest ways to get to every area in the game. By doing so, players will be able to recover their stuff more often than not, and it will increase the overall, achievement within the game. Anyway, do you guys like the new death mechanics? Do you think it's kind of a dumb idea for Jagex to switch everything as far as death mechanics go this late in RuneScape's life cycle? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on it. By the way, if you are interested in old school RuneScape investing and flipping, join us in our Discord. There's a link in the description below. This is an amazing place to learn how to flip with any amount of cash within the game, and just learn how to leverage your RuneScape GP to make more GP. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time.